Okay, guys, so you might be watching this on Wednesday or Thursday. Note that we're doing the same thing for Wednesday and Thursday because Wednesday, this should be first, second, third, seventh period watching this, and then fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh period watching this. So it's the same assignment. For your warm-up today, you are going to put the attached PDF in the warm-up section of Notability. So we're going to put Notability, create new note. If your note titles are still getting messed up, we're renaming this Cornell Notes Example. And we're putting this in the warm-up section. What we're going to do here is we're going to look at two fake student examples of their Cornell notes, and we're going to grade them using a rubric. We'll put a check mark if they have the correct items, and then we'll put an X if they have something incorrect. And we will check to see if they have the total amount of points at the end. So you're going to do this with me. Let's go to Notability. Cornell Notes example. Okay, so our first student is Ariel Mermaid. Very creative with these. So name Ariel Mermaid. So their research focus was the Jim Crow laws. The first thing we're going to check is their research subject listed? Well, let's look. Their research subject is Jim Crow laws. So yes. Next, source type. Source type database. So that's correct. Is their citation formatted correctly? Yes, it is. So yes. Do they have at least 3 rows of notes? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So they have at least 3. Do they have 1 interesting fact, an additional question? When the laws took place. That's interesting enough. And who created Jim Crow laws? Great. So Ariel Mermaid has 5 out of 5. Great job. Woo! Now let's look at source number 2, Sir Prince Eric. Okay, Prince Eric has the research subject. Good for you. They did not tell me what source, so that's an X. They did not do the correct citation from Britannica. They just put like this whole link, which is not what we're supposed to do. So X. Did they have at least 3 rows of notes? The Jim Crow laws emerged. Okay. Okay, technically, yes, they have at least. I mean, the notes aren't great, though, like Brown versus Board law change. It doesn't tell us a lot, but technically, sure. Now, note, this is not the best note, though. We want to look for at least like a summary, paraphrase, or quote. So you want to put something more than law change. So actually, I'm not even going to accept that. Interesting fact learned. It was all interesting. No. I'm looking for a specific fact and a question. None. No. So none of that works. So they would have a 1 out of 5. Okay. Which gives them a 20%. Okay, and that's how your sources will be graded when I look at your Cornell notes. So keep this in Notability just to like remind yourself how I'll be grading your Cornell notes. Next, we are going to go to task 3. Okay, now for task 3, we are going to work on finding source number 2 from our Cornell notes. So let's open our Cornell notes here. And we should already have source 1 completed. Now we are going to do source number 2. And we'll find another article on Mac and Via. So go ahead and open Mac and Via. To get to our database, we go to Groups. We go to 6th ELAR Segregation. And I'm going to go to Britannica School, Middle. And I'm still using my example of Jim Crow laws. So when you search up your topic, all of these blue highlighted links are options for me to use as a second source. I already used this first source as source number 1, so I need to find a second source. Usually, I'll look at the titles to see what seems more relevant. I'm going to click on the origins and spread of racism, and then hide reader view. And then if you do command find at the bottom, command find is just like on your keyboard, so the command key and the F key. I'm going to type in Jim Crow law, and it's going to show up some things about the Jim Crow laws. Great. So I'm going to use this article. For source number 2, my research subject is still going to be Jim Crow law. Jim Crow laws. Why is it capitalizing? But this article is called Racism, so that's another research subject for this article for source 2. We're also looking at racism. It is a database. My bibliography citation, I click on this red check mark, and I'm going to copy and paste it if it lets me. I might have to hold down a bit. Command C, and then paste here. Now using this article, I'm going to come up with more questions, keywords, information from source 2. A reminder that at the top of your Google Doc where it says Cornell Notes Rubric and Guiding Questions, you can click here and open link, and it'll take you to some guiding questions for you. So if your topic is a person, you have some options for questions you can ask. If your topic is a place, if your topic is an event or thing. If it's like an organization like the KKK or the NAACP, that's a thing. So you can ask like, what is it? How did it change things? So forth. So that's just if you're having trouble coming up with questions. For me, I'm going to look at the article and see if I can come up with questions from the article. So go back to reader view. Go back to where it talked about Jim Crow laws. Okay, so it's talking about like the time period of racism, and then it's like that it's still a problem in the late 19th century. People were still segregated in the United States. White leaders in the South passed various state laws, the black codes, and later the Jim Crow laws. So I'm going to highlight this section to help ensure. So in the United States, so for my main idea question, it'll be where did the Jim Crow laws affect? And it's only in the United States. So the Jim Crow laws were only in the United States, in the South. From this note, I want to ask, like, what were the black codes? And it says here the black codes were passed. So I'm going to copy and paste that because it answers that question. Is there anything else I can find about the Jim Crow laws? It doesn't seem like there is a lot left. It seems like it was only like these two or one paragraph. So maybe I'll also include what was happening in other countries during this time. And it's like it was happening in all these other countries too, in North America and South America. So I'm going to include that there. Okay. And what was the most interesting fact for me? That segregation was happening in other countries too. Countries as well. What additional questions? I still didn't answer the question of what were some specific Jim Crow laws. So what were some examples of Jim Crow laws? And I still didn't know what were the consequences of breaking these laws. So I still want the answer to those questions. So those are going to be additional questions for me. So now my source 2 is complete. Okay, now to turn in source 2, we're going to do just like we did yesterday. You're going to click the 3 dots at the top, share and export, copy link. You're going to send the link with your rubric. So go to your rubric, and you just want to make sure that you complete source number 2 now. So my article title was racism. I'm going to check mark to make sure I have everything from the Google Doc. Remember, we split screened. So I'm just going to like go through it, make sure I have everything. And then I will turn this into Schoology, like so. And turn in the link to your Google Doc with your rubric for submitting source number 2. And that is all for today.